Hello and welcome to Unity Insights. If you are interested in developing games or applications using Unity, then this channel is for you. For our new viewers, myself Somnath Chowdhury and I am a professional Unity developer. Today's video will be very helpful as we are going to discuss about Unity UI's button component and I'll show you how to configure the click event. If you are interested to know about Unity scripting, then I have made a complete video where I have explained and demoed few lifecycle functions of monobehaviour and their use cases. Do check it out. Button is a very commonly used UI component. Whether you are planning for a web form where you can have submit or cancel buttons like sign in, sign up pages, or your game's various menus like main menu, setting, credits, etc. In all these cases, you need to use buttons. So, in today's session, we'll discuss about how to create a new button, explore the properties, different state of buttons, button animation, and toward the end of this video, I'll create some public functions in a script and will show you how to connect those functions with button on click event. Let's jump into the Unity editor and see all of this practically. To create a new button, you can right click on the canvas and under UI you can select the UI, this button text mesh pro, right? You can click and it will click, the button will appear here. But a good practice would be, let me delete this, good practice would be to create a panel and inside that panel then you can create a button, right? Let me first move the panel toward my right. Okay, I want to have a right side panel. Okay, let me make it 500 something, and under this panel now I'll create a UI button so that my button is inside this panel on the right side, right? Now let me make it bigger little bit, probably 300 something, and height should be around 800. Okay, that looks good. Now in this button you can see there are properties called rect transform, image, and a button component. There are three components. This image component you can change the button's background, right? So let me try selecting something. Let's see this one. So this is how you can select the UI. Okay, for the image you can change, and inside this button now there is another object. This is text. So whatever you can see the button text, that is here. You can change it whatever you want as START start game, okay, or whatever name you want you can put it here. Okay, now let me revert it and let me make it as UI sprite as it was, and now we'll see the button properties. Okay, here under this button component the first property is interactive, which is true. So this checkbox is on, that means it is true, so that is interactive. If you disable this, now your button is not interactive. Okay, so you will not be able to click during your runtime. So this is your first component. Next is transition. Under transition you get, there are four options, right? First let's understand this color tint. What it does, it takes a target image which is button. Of course our object name is button. Okay, if I want to change it to something else, let's say start game something, now you can see under start game, so that's my object name, and inside that there is a image, so that means it's accessing this image component. Okay, so this is my target graphics. Next is asking what's the normal color would be. So let's say by default I want something reddish here in my normal color, and highlight color, that means whenever I hover on this button what color it should be. Let's say whenever I hover, it goes to little bit green, and then when I press, that means I keep my mouse here and click on it, right? Just mouse down, that means, and I'll want some yellow color for that, and when I select it, let's say something blue. Okay, and disable color also you can change. here. So what it happens now, if I save it and try to run it, so my normal color is red, and whenever I hover on it, now it shows green as my highlight color is green, right? And when I keep my press my mouse, and now it becomes yellow as my pressed color is yellow, and when I leave my mouse it becomes blue. That means it is selected. Okay, so this is how this color tint works. So let me create few more buttons. Okay, so let me select this and press Ctrl D to duplicate it and name it, for example, settings, setting. Okay, and another button I'll name it as credit. Okay, and I'll push this buttons little down here, and this one also, the credit one also little down. And now I'll change the text inside this setting. Whatever text is there, I'll change it to setting, and under this credit, whatever text is there, I'll change it to credit. Okay. Now let's see what happens whenever I play this. So whenever I hover on it, of course it's a hover color for all of this, that's same because we have duplicated this, right? So hover on it is green, press is yellow, and leave, that means it is selected, which is blue color. Okay, so same thing whenever I hover on the other one, it's green, press means yellow, and leave means blue. So the previous one becomes default color. Okay, by default whatever color is there. So this is how you can use your color tint. Okay, now next we'll see the sprite swap. Okay, so for this start game, I'll change it to sprite swap. Now what it will do, it will take the same target image, right, target graphics, and now it's asking for sprite for 4 different events, 4 different states. Okay, for highlight color, so normally it is white. Okay, whenever I hover on it, what should happen? So let's say I'll take this green as a hover, and whenever I press, that means my mouse down, I'll select something this purple, and whenever I select, let's say this blue I take. Okay, and whenever I want to disable it, let's say for disable also, let me select something. Okay, I'll take this health bar as a disable one, right? And let me make this panel full stretch so that you can see it better. Let me zoom it out a little bit. Okay, now let me play it and select the start. Okay, start game. So normal, in normal state there is no change. Now whenever I hover on it, now it changed to green sprite, right? Because we have here we have assigned green gradient, right? So that's why it's showing the green sprite. Now whenever I press, then it's showing the purple one, which is like red gradient, and whenever I leave, it becomes blue, which is blue color. And if I make it like non-interruptible, then it shows the health bar, whatever that sprite is there, it will show. Next we'll understand animation, right? Here's animation in transition. What it does, it triggers the 5 different animations. Okay, so under this animation, whenever you switch, you will have a different property. Okay, now there is a auto generate animation button. Okay, it's click here and it will create a it will create a controller. Okay, so where you want to save, so for the example, I'll create a controller folder, and inside that I'll save this start game controller, which will have all my animations. So now you can see here there's a folder called controller, and under that there's a start game controller, right? So which is the name of this game object, and here automatically there's an animator component gets added, and this start game gets attached to this controller property. Under this start game there are 5 animations. Okay, 5 blank animations based on your these names. So now it will not work as it is, because as of now we have a blank animation, so that we have to create the animation effects for that. So what you need to do here, we can go to this window at the top, and under this animation click on animation, so your animation window will open. Let me put it somewhere here. Okay, so let me keep it here. And now for this start game, this button, I'll create a animation. So by default here is the animation list, it shows normal. Okay, so wherever you want to create the animation, you can select the animations. For example, whenever I hover, that time what should happen? So for that I'll select this highlighted, and now I'll add property. Click on this. Whenever you click on this, there are 4 components. Based on your components here, it will show, because it shows rect transform, image, button and text. So here rect transform, image, button, and inside this start game there's a text, so that's why it's showing all these components. So for example, I want to change the color for this game whenever I hover on that button. So let's select the color, okay, and expand it. Now you can see RGBA, all these colors are there. Let me try to make it big. So what we'll do, we'll try to change the color whenever my button hovers. So let's get the cursor here. At the top you have the slider, okay, so you can slide wherever you want. Okay, so before that, let me, because this animation is running for 1 second, it's 1 means 1 second, let me select all of these frames and drag it to somewhere very near, probably 0.5, and if you can scroll, so it will zoom in. Scroll in, you can zoom in. So again select all of this and put it like 0.5. So whenever my in the beginning, so this is my start frame and this is my end frame. So at the end of my frame, I want to change the color, probably this green, a little bit low. Okay, so just drag. So now you can see here the effect is coming, becoming little pink, right? 0.4 is the value. Okay, that is my highlighted color. And whenever I press, that means my mouse is down on the button, then again we'll select the color under image, and this time again let me move all of this to somewhere very near, probably 0.05. okay, and first I'll keep my slider at the end here, and now this time what I'll do, I'll try to create different, so something 0.4, that means my this is hover color is somewhere blue, it's like turquoise blue. And whenever I select, and that time what should happen, let's go to again under image, color, and then click on the plus button, and whenever I select on it, so first let me move it to 0.5 somewhere, okay, so 0.5, and whenever I select, so let me put the cursor here, so that means it should be completely blue. So let me make it like 00, so that it is different color. So just for testing, we are using different animations. Okay, so now our animation is done. Next part is we need to check for the animator. Under animation window, animation, this is an animator. Here you can see all of these my animations are here. So here it's showing that from any state it can go to any of this animation. It can play any of this animation, right? So we'll check in the runtime. Let me move it up a bit and select the game object here, and then press the play button so that we can see. Now you can see there is a it's normal, whatever animation is there, it keeps playing because that is my default. Whenever I hover on it, now you can see that highlighted animation, whatever is there, that is playing, right? It's flickering because that animation is in loop. What we need to do for that, for example, this highlighted, this loop time is there, we need to disable this, okay? And for press and select it, for all of this I'll just disable, so that my color stays whatever I have mentioned. So let's play once again. Now this time it's normal, it's playing. Whenever I hover on it, it becomes pink. Whenever I press, it becomes blue. And then whenever I leave, then it becomes dark blue or ink blue, right? So and here also you can see the color. I mean the animation is playing. That means this animation is selected. So this is how you can use your animation transition. So like this, you have lot of options to animate your button, right? Under animation now, if you select, let's say highlighted again, and if you click on this property, there are a lot of options. You can play with all of these values, right? Rect transform values, or you can play with the color, on enable, material, different properties are there for each one, right? So based on your requirement, you can play with them. So for example, if you want to increase the size of this button whenever you press or hover, so let me open the animation window once again, and we'll select the highlighted, that means hover, and here let me first put it here somewhere, and drag it here. Now now what I need to do, I want to increase the size of this button. So for that, I'll click on the add property. Under rect transform, I'll select the size delta, right? So here the size delta, that property came. So at the end of my frame, I'll select the end frame, and here I will make some changes, 100 or maybe 100. So that means at the end of the frame, it will look like this. Okay, and whenever I pressed, that time also I'll do that same. So that means again rect transform, size delta, and my end frame I'll change it to 400 and 100 here, and whenever I select, that's enough, fine. As of now, just for testing, we can test these two conditions, hover and press. So that means normally it's playing as a normal, and whenever I hover on it, now I can see the button size increased. Okay, and if we go out, again changing, and if I press it again, as that button size is there, and whenever I select leave my button, so it selects the leave and it goes back to normal. So this is how you can play with different properties of these components. Our next property is navigation, which is automatic. So if I go back to my scene and zoom in, here you can see that yellow color arrows are showing, right? So that is for your navigation. That means whenever you select this button, after that, if you press down arrow or up arrow or right or left arrow, how this which next button should get selected. Okay, so for example, I'll revert it back to color tint however it was, and as it is automatic, so once my start game button is selected, after that if I press down arrow, my setting button should get selected because down arrow is showing here. Let's see in the runtime how it works. So I've selected my first button, okay, which is start. Now I'll leave my cursor somewhere out and I'll press the down arrow button. Now you can see here, because here it has a down arrow and the next button is setting, so that means setting is getting selected. Again if I press down, so that means my credit is getting selected. Similarly if I press up button, so from credit it's going to setting, and then again if I press up button, from setting it's going to start game. Now under this navigation there are few options, right? Here horizontal, vertical, automatic and explicit. So horizontal means whenever you horizontally your buttons will go, and vertically means, so let's select the vertical. Okay, so that means only horizontally this should work. So that means from start game there is no connection between setting. So if I play now, okay, select the first game object and select down button, so now nothing is happening, right? Even right, left, up, nothing is happening. So what I'll do, quickly I'll try to create few more buttons. Okay, so let me push this setting toward my right, okay, and this credit toward my left, and I'll create two more. One I'll name it as up, and I'll keep it somewhere at up, and change the text to up, and I'll duplicate the same button, Ctrl D, and I'll rename it to down, and inside that the text also will rename it to down, all caps, and then I'll push it to down. Okay, now in my start game, if I select horizontal, only horizontally it will work, vertically it will not work, right? So let's see how it works. So if I select horizontal now, so if I select the first game object and press right and left, it's working, but if I press up or down, nothing is happening, right? Similarly, if you want to change it to vertical, then only these two buttons will get selected on up and down arrow on pressing. So that's why it is automatic, it's selected so that all the button can be accessed, can be selected. So there is an option for explicit, that means manually you have to assign those buttons. So for example, on select up, right? So for that you have to drag and drop this button. So that means whenever you're pressing the up arrow, this button gets selected, should get selected, and whenever you're pressing down arrow, this button should get selected. Similarly for right, what is the setting? So for right I'll select setting, and for my left I'll select this credit. Okay, so now let's see how it works. Select the button now and press up arrow, it's going to up because here it is up, and if I press down arrow, now it's going down because it's down, and again from the center, if I go right side, it's going setting, and if I go left side, it's going to credit. Yeah, good, that's all working. And here there is a visualize button, right? So that means it's showing in the arrow format here, so that how these buttons are connected. If you disable this, all the arrow you will not be able to see, but still it will work. And now if there is an option, if you, okay, let me play it, let me click the visualize, and this visualize works on global. Like for this start game, if you disable this visualize, for any button, for every other button it would be like disabled, right? So that's how it works. And now let's enable the visual for our purpose, and we'll see how it works. Okay, so there could be a bug. Okay, so if I click this button, and now if I press space bar, now you can see still clicking, still selecting. Okay, so that your QA artist can tell you that this is a bug or not. What you need to do for that, from explicit you need to change it to none. So that means there is no interaction other than your mouse click. Okay, now that means it will not get selected in any cases if your navigation is none, but whatever you have code you write under this on click, that will get triggered. Okay, so that means if you press the spacebar now, nothing happens because it is not getting selected. Okay, now we understood how to change different color, how to swap your sprite, how to add animation in your button, all of this. Now we'll see how to add an event to this on click event, how to add a script and trigger that function. So for that I have created two panels. Okay, let me hide this and enable this background. So this background is nothing but our background. Okay, there is no button or anything. So after that I have a main menu here where I have different buttons, start, setting and credit. And whenever I click on the credit button, I would like to enable this UI. Okay, so under this credit there is a UI. So let me first show you what all are there in this button. So background, there is nothing, only the background image. What you can see here, background images and these icons. Okay, under this main menu, let me open it. There's a background image. If I hide it, you can understand. Okay, so there's a background image under text here. So there's a background image, inside that there's a text message pro where I have the main menu text. There is a button called start where I have a button, but there's no event attached to it, no function. And similar to that, setting and credit also doesn't have any functions attached to it. Okay, there's something you have to remove. Okay, now it is reversed. Now what I would like to do, that credit button, whenever I click, I would like to enable this credit, right? So let me show you what is there in credit also. Credit panel. So there is a panel. Inside that I have a background similar to the main menu. If I disable it, you can see there is a image attached to it. There is a text called credit, and there is a back button. Okay, where there is a button but there is no event, it's attached to it. Okay, and there is another panel where I have different text. Okay, for developer, then name, designer, then again a name. That's it. So this is a simple UI. Now let me create a script and write some public functions. So for that, I already have a UI folder here. In my last video I created. So let me create a script inside that. So under that, hover on create and click on C# script, and now give it a name, whatever name you want. I'll give UI manager. Okay. UI manager. So this is my script which I would like to keep some public functions which I'll trigger. Okay, so let it open. Script editor. So it's opening. We'll wait until this monobehaviour becomes green. Now what we'll do, we'll take two references. Okay, one for this main menu and one for this credit. So two game object references we'll take. For that, what we'll write, public, and then game object, and then main menu, and next is credit. Now I'll write two public functions. So public void probably show main menu. There's one function, and another one I'll write public void show credit. Okay. Now under this main menu, what I'll do, I'll enable the main menu, that game object I copied and pasted here, dot set active, because it's already a game object. So set active, you need to do set active, and that inside bracket you need to put true or false, right? So for that, my main menu window should be true, and if I duplicate this, pressing Ctrl D, now copy this credit and paste it here. Now credit should be false. Okay, under this main menu function, my main menu should be active and my credit should be deactive. And we'll do the other way in show credit. Here we'll hide the main menu and we'll show the credit. Done. We are done with our basic scripting. Now let's head back to Unity. Now you can attach the script to any game objects. What I prefer to create a empty game object. Scripts, whatever name you want, you wanna keep, and I'd like to keep it 0 position. Now what you need to do, you need to drag and drop it here, UI manager. Now UI manager is asking two game objects, right, as we have mentioned here, main menu and credit. So similar way, main menu and credit game objects. Now you need to drag and drop main menu under this main menu and credit under this credit. Okay. Now my script is attached, my game objects are reference are set. Now we need to do, you need to add events in your buttons. So for that, I'll select the credit here the credit button, and under this button, under on click this event, is a plus button, click on it. Okay. Now wherever your script is, drag and drop that game object, and under that you will be able to find your script and all your public functions. So for credit, I'd like to show credit. Whenever we are pressing credit, we have to call this show credit function. Similar way, if I'm in credit, under background, under this back button, okay, inside this back button, again under on click, I'll click on the plus button, drag and drop the script game object, and under this no function, over on UI manager, and call the function show main menu. Okay. Now we are done with our scripting and all assignments. Now let's see how it works. Now whenever I play this and now click on the credit, now it's showing my credit UI, credit panel. Okay. Now you can see main menu is disabled, credit is enabled, because we have mentioned here whenever credit is showing, menu should be false, set active false, and credit should be set active true. And if I click the back button here, now it's showing the main menu true and credit false, which you can see it here. Main menu is true and credit is false. Thank you for watching this video till the end. I know this video became little long, but I hope you got some insights about button component, and hopefully I'm able to show you how to create a button, explain their properties, and show how to configure a simple event to swap different menus. Now based on your requirement, you can write your own logic for your project and call them on button click. For any doubt or question, please comment down below or send me your query via email, which is displaying on the screen. Feel free to book a one-on-one discovery call if you need any guidance or mentorship. The link is mentioned on the screen as well as mentioned in the description. See you in the next video. Have a good time.